Or hey, it's perfect, whatever it is the shop tells you. And you might not realize that your rear alignment is bad until your tires start rumbling because they've been wearing so badly. Hello. This video here is going to be a compilation of clips that I made while replacing my camber arm in my 2006 Infiniti M45. This should cover the Y50 Infiniti M platform, that is 2006 through 2010 Infiniti M. So in the videos that follow, you should get to understand why in the world an angle grinder is involved in suspension work, how the stock camber arm is set up and how it's supposed to work, why we have these messed up ones over here, why we have broken bolts and on the other end they've been cut off, and most importantly, why Spc camber arms are involved in the process. So what I should do is, well, what the video is going to be is me under the car, of course, doing my best to record while working and show you how I ended up with this Spc camber arms in place of the stock Nissan OEM ones. And the videos are going to be just the way I do, more of a discussion of the Infiniti M and the issues you might face and the solutions. I know for a fact there's a better video out there on installation, and that was either on a G35 or a 350Z. One person was holding the camera, the other person was under the car, and the car was in a lift, so no jack stand, garage kind of work. So that video is definitely better in showing you how. In my normal form, I try to talk about the why, and if I can explain how to fix it as well, I do that. But here you go. I hope the videos that follow, or rather the next few minutes, are going to be valuable, and give me your feedback. I'm trying to show something that happens with these vehicles with the rear suspension. So right here, this is your pan. Well, your lower parts of your lower control arm. You don't really have a lower control arm in the rear. You have a multi-link suspension. So this pan right here, this is how you adjust your toe for the rear wheel. And this right here, see this bolt? That's the toe bolt, right? Then this one here, it's the camber arm. This bolt here is what adjusts your camber. And what happens is you loosen this nut, then you go to the other side, to the head of the bolt, and turn it. And this is an eccentric. I'm gonna have to record it while I'm making changes, so you see. So same thing here. As I said, you loosen this nut, then you come here and you adjust the bolt. And since it's an eccentric bolt and eccentric washer, that is the center of the washer, the hole in the washer is not in the perfect middle of the washer. And that's going to make this arm right here move left and right. So I will have to record it while you see it so you can see what happens. And then I'll discuss why the hell I'm down here today. Because what you're supposed to have is this. You have a bolt with an eccentric. This is what I mean. The center of the body itself, the center of the washer, is not the drilled hole center. Okay? You have an eccentric washer on the other end as well. As you can see, the hole is not in the middle. And you have a nut. So I'll show you what it's supposed to do. And along with that, obviously it's not supposed to be corroded in there, because you're supposed to be able to slide this inside your bolt. Slide this, and it's supposed to move freely, like that. Okay, so let me show you what it's supposed to look like once you install it. It's gonna be a little tricky, but I'll see what I can do about it. So it takes a little bit of finesse. First, fish this bolt through. I can find a spot. Okay. Here you can see the bolt goes through, right? Can you see that? Oh, kind of. There you go. So the bolt goes through onto this side, but now you have to do it with this member in there. So push it back out. It's a little bit of a dance. Ooh, that took a while, right? Then this end right here, I have to push it out a little. Right now I'm walking blindly. I don't know if I'm close or not. I'm not. That's my screwdriver. So the screwdriver can make it through, but I'm gonna try it through this side. Okay, the problem is here. Well, hope that was kind of visible. I did as much as I could. It's pretty tough to get that aligned, especially because once you remove this bar, this part of the spindle comes towards you. But I think I got it decently there. So what I want to show you is how the system is supposed to work. How do you correct the camber? So you see this slid one way, you try this other way, it cannot slide on, right? There's a groove there, but it's just not the right depth. So, you know, as I said, it only goes one way. And the whole purpose of this is to make sure that both sides of the bolt, the washer side and the head side, are aligned the same way, okay? Maybe once I pull it out, I'll show again what it's supposed to do. So again, you see, I need to pull this out. There's this notch here and here, right? Those allow the cam to slide in, and I'll in a few moments show how they work exactly. I'm gonna get my 19mm, send it over to the other side, and turn it. We'll see what happens here. So that's turning right now, right? And nothing else, just this part of it turning till it falls in here. Okay, now at this point I'm gonna get my 17, send it here so I can lock this washer into the recess you saw over there. See the other one move? There you go. So it's tight enough to keep it in the recess, but not too tight to lock it. Okay, so what happens during alignment is this. Look in here. As I move it, just watch this one. It goes in and out because there's a slot there. It's a horizontal slot. Again, keep going. Anyway, that's how the adjustment is supposed to work. Since it, this part is stationary, this eccentric washer and bolt makes this one move, left and right. And then this part ends up moving this hub, left and right. And that's how you adjust your camber. It's the same thing when it comes to toe. This part is fixed. And as I said, this part has an eccentric bolt head, as you can see there, and a washer on this other side, right? So that is how it's supposed to work. So then after you've done your adjustment, you tighten this all the way down to a point it will not move at all. Here's that problem I was talking about. See here, I tried removing the nut on this side and it ended up breaking off. This is what the setup looks like. You have this washer here that locks into the bolt. The bolt has a slot for it, right? Can you see the bolt has a notch in it to allow the locator in this washer to sit in, right? So that sits there. And then the nut goes on the other side. As you can see, the nut and the bolt were one in this situation. And the way it's supposed to work is, so 19 millimeter. Right now what you're seeing is the classic problem that happens when that bolt freezes inside the bushing. There's a metal sleeve to the bushing. And so on this side, well, I haven't removed that yet, but I already removed the bolt and the nut on this side, which does not help so much in alignment. But then I haven't knocked the arm down itself. But I did on this side. Right. Well, it went back. But I did. This side is a little worse because you saw how this side is a little worse because you saw how the bolt and the washer on the other side came as two pieces. These ones came as one. Sorry, the nut and the washer. So here's a nut and here's a washer. So there was no way you would be able to do an alignment in the back, which is why I don't understand how sometimes you take your car to a dealership and they say, they give me this printout. I really have no idea how they'd be able to align this because I was not able to move anything. Right, and moving this bolt, the bolt does not move at all. What I tried to do was I knocked this down using my breaker bar. Well, I'm not gonna smash my hands right now, but it's stuck. I cannot move those bolts at all. You're supposed to be able to. Once you move the nut, you should be able to turn the bolt. So what that leaves me is, one, cut this babies off. So I'm going to cut it right around here because that's where the bolt is stuck. Sorry, right around there. That's where I'm going to cut it so that the bolts can get out of the way. I'm going to replace the whole arm because it's going to be damaged once that happens. See, this is why I'm cutting this, because even with this locked, as you can see, the bolt does not move independent of the bushing. So I resort to cutting it. And I've got my handy dandy angle grinder. And that's what I'm using to cut on this end right here. Okay? Let's try on this other one. This one's worse. It just wants to spring back. And this is not something that's only limited to rust-prone areas, but I'd say it's more so important for rust-prone areas. And it's the kind of thing, as I said, sometimes you take it to a shop, they say, hey, we've done your alignment, it's with, kind of getting to the limits, or hey, it's perfect, whatever it is the shop tells you. And you might not realize that your rear alignment is bad until your tires start rumbling because they've been wearing so badly, you know. So it's just something worth looking into if you have the ability to get your aftermarket arms on there. And again, I will get to those and I'll show them how they work. So finally, after a lot of back and forth, I think I'm gonna break it eventually. There you go. So I ended up wedging my ratchet in there. I don't know what the bolt is. There you go. There's the first one. Out it goes. Wow. Took a lot of fighting. But as you can see, it's pretty much welded in there. You're supposed to be able to slide the way these things work. This is what it's supposed to look like. Then the bolt goes through there. So all this other stuff, it's just kind of difficult. Anyway, this is the aftermarket arm that's going to go here. It's going to go here, and this other end will go here. Right now, I took measurements as best as I could remember as to how long the other one was, but when the bolt broke when I was trying to remove the nut, I ended up just losing exactly, you know, my approximation. So it's going to be a little bit of guesswork to see where it is, but I'm going to the alignment shop immediately after this, so hopefully I don't chew my tires badly. Okay, now that I have cut both of them, I'm going to show you what it was. And so on this end right here, the adjustment end, this is what you have right now. Versus, so you have, this is the bolt head, this is the tail end of the bolt, for rusted onto the washer here, and the nut, right? Now I've shown what was happening, and I've shown what it should be, you know, by using the correct arm. Yeah, this one right here. You know, what the situation should actually be. And now let's see what alternatives we have. See this box right here? 72260. And it says ×2 because I got 2 pieces of them. Made in China? Yeah. But it's all good. This right here is an Spc Camber Arm Set. It's the same one for the G35 350Z, I think. And I have no doubt that the same kit would work on, say, in 2003 M45 as well. The setup that used that multi-link suspension that, you know, had your camber arm from here to here. Anything with adjustable camber, that is. So what that kit is, it's a turnbuckle set. This one right here. And the way this works is, I can't really demonstrate it with one hand right now, but it goes in place of the other arm, right? And the adjustment, so it doesn't matter, even if this freezes onto this bracket, it doesn't matter, because this part right here is what you're going to use for adjustment. And I hope to be able to demonstrate that in a few steps. So install it much like the other one, right? Right here goes in here. And then this end right here, the female end, goes here, this part of the hub. So install that, and let's, you know, I'll demonstrate it in action. Okay, let's do this. Right now, showing this demonstrates that you still need to get some sort of camber bolt kit on this end to be able to lock it. Depending on how you're doing installation, well, obviously, you're out of luck if you were in the situation I am and you had to cut these. You cannot reuse them at all. However, when they sell this kit, it comes with this. Normally, you're supposed to use this kit in the rear because it's supposed to allow way more toe adjustment. Right now, the toe itself is never really a problem. The toe itself is never really a problem. So if I was in a pinch, I could just use this kit right here. And it's the same, you know, as you can see, it's eccentric. It's a little more dramatic if you know, take measurements as to how eccentric it is. You're supposed to widen the slide a little more. And you can see the shape of the bolt. It's not perfectly round. Let me open this. So here, as you can see, the bolt is not perfectly round. And that is what allows it to work here. You have two washers. Again, instead of having a bolt with an eccentric head, you just use one washer on this side, install it on one end, then install your suspension component, then put the other washer on one end, and then the nut, okay? However, I'm gonna save those. I don't think I will end up using them at all. Hopefully not. Again, so the rear right here rarely freezes shut. You know, it rarely corrodes and becomes bound up. So if you were doing this, say, to lower your vehicle, you could just remove this bolt here and use it over here. That is, yeah, it's the correct length. You should be able to use this bolt here if you had to cut this one here. I mean, basically what I'm saying, this is not the kind of job you wing. You know, you don't just raise your car and try to get this done in one afternoon with no plan. You need to at least know where to get these. And I called my, if I found the part number online, I know the part number. Find it online, you could get it for about 10 bucks, you know, with shipping, of course. I called my Nissan dealership, they had this bolt, just one of them, for 15 bucks. I mean, sounds a little steep, you know, for lack of planning. So do whatever you can, get the proper bolt, you know, the one with grooves on it. It's just called a cam adjustment bolt, something of the sort. Make sure you have that and the washer that goes to it. So right now, if you lock this over here, you'll find that it will still dance. You know, this is a slot I was talking about. So if you lock it, it's still gonna dance, you know. And right now, because I'm using the proper bolt, if I did not use a proper bolt, the whole assembly is gonna be, you know, going up and down. So you want to make sure you still have the proper bolt. That is the proper cam style bolt. And I'm going to install the washer, if I can get it. There you go. And I like it facing down so that when you take it to the shop, they can see what they're adjusting. There's a little dimple over here that kind of tells you. There you go. That's a dimple that tells you where you are with regards to alignment, right? So I'm gonna go ahead, install that, install the proper nut. Then we'll get back to work and get back to talk about it. Now comes the other fun part. What I'm gonna do is try to spread, you know, this. I suppose not everybody knows how a turnbuckle works, but I want to be able to, if I just turned this like this, I might not open the threads evenly. It's gonna make sense once I actually start doing it. So what I'm gonna do is hold this end steady and like this, hold it rigidly, then start turning the middle, and you'll see how this part adjusts the length of the arm, okay? So, and what I'm doing is trying to aim this into this location over here. So as you can see, whatever amount it's opening these threads is the same. It's opening these threads rather than just going one way. Suppose now I can pick it up because it's pretty much holding itself. Keep expanding and keep opening it up. It's gonna get long enough that I can just slide the bolt on that end. Too long, huh? Okay, bring it back down. There you go. Okay, what I'm gonna do is tighten this nut over here, nut and bolt, and I'll do the same on this end over here, tighten this bolt and the nut. And I usually like to have the alignment smack in the middle so that that check mark I was talking about is a smack right down here. There you go. Did you see it move? Can move up, which ends up moving the arm. All right. The more I do that, it's a little too tight though. Okay. Anyway, with all that, I want this mark to end up being right in the middle, right there. So keep turning. Okay, now I want to tighten it while it's right there. Just trust that you might not be able to fully see what's going on, but I'm tightening this one here as well as this one here. Now that both ends are tight, I'm going to show you how exactly the alignment works. So instead of doing all that camber alignment here and here, here and here, like the OEM system, now what you do is just adjust this turnbuckle over here, and that's going to move your whole arm left or right, like this. Actually, I think it might work better if I just set the camera down for this one. I hope you can see that as I turn it, this end goes in and out. And so, with the power of guesswork, because I don't really know how far this arm was supposed to be, how long it is, you know, since I broke it, what I'm gonna do is set this here, use the proper setup, that is the factory setup, and try to estimate. I'm gonna use this and try to estimate how long it should be, just as a baseline. Then I can go to the alignment shop and then they will, you know, set it where it's actually supposed to be. Now that I have, there you go. So right now it's approximately the same length as the factory system, and it's smack in the middle for alignment purposes. And I'm going to leave it here. And the way you lock it is move these nuts. Whoa. Move these nuts. And just lock them in place. There you go. Now that's locked, and you'll notice right now you can't move the whole setup either way. It's locked in this alignment spec. This is the length. So I'm going to leave it as is, And I have already mentioned that I'm not going to do this for the rear toe arm. This one here, because one, it requires drilling and it's a really weird angle. You don't really have space for many tools, if any. It takes a lot of patience. I do have patience, it's just that I don't have the time right now. So I'm going to leave this in the box, and these will be a spare. If I take it to alignment and they tell me that, hey, you're almost running out of toe alignment or toe spec, then I'll dedicate another day to install these over here. And as I said, all you do, remember the horizontal slot I showed here, you just make that a little wider, you know, so that this more dramatic washer can make it through. If you do not change the length, it's not exactly useless, but you saw how I could turn this and it could go all the way around. Because it'll be much wider, it's just gonna lock at some point. And I should have laid them side by side so you can see how much bigger it is. So here, that's the factory one. That's a factory one. This is the replacement one. And in terms of diameter on the outside, they're the same. But as you can see here, this one is a little more dramatic. There's a little more cam rise, cam travel to it, right? You can see how, well, basically how much meat you have left from the lower side to the end of the circle. This one here is a lot thinner. So look at it through there, as well as through there, right? And there you go. That kind of answers itself this time. You can see what happens, how dramatic it is. Okay, good deal. Say the project is over for now. I'll put my wheels back on and go drive this thing. See how different, how dramatic it is. Okay, good luck.